You're listening to Did You Mean Riddle Me This?
Good morning, Ruddle Maniacs. Welcome to Ruddle Me This. This is the Ruddler himself, Taylor Ruddle. We've got a cheeky wee Wednesday morning upload for you today. Given that a lot of the things we discuss are of a slightly time-sensitive nature, I thought it would be nice to do 2 episodes this week. As you probably saw on the podcast title, today Stephen Lyons is back. Really excited to have Stephen come back, and we discuss a whole bunch of new posters and trailers that have been released for Fast X, which is allegedly the second-to-last movie in the Fast saga. If you're living in New Zealand like I am, it releases on the 18th of May, which is tomorrow, so get along and see that. I will probably go and check it out in the theatre. As we all know, there's nothing quite like going to see a Fast and Furious movie in the theatres. It's a very special experience. Stephen's also got a show in the 2023 New Zealand International Comedy Festival, which is very exciting. His show is called Joyous Comedy Hour for Your Smile Faces, and this year he's doing it with Josiah Day, who is a very, very funny comedian. It opens tonight, May 17th, and it's running until the 20th. They are at 9:30pm in the Q Theatre Cellar. So if you fancy yourself a joyous comedy hour for your smile face, get along. I believe tickets will be on the Comedy Festival website, www.comedyfestival.co.nz. One other quick announcement I've got, very excited, tomorrow on May 18th, I am running my first ever pub quiz. It's called The Pop Quiz, and it's on at a venue called Meepalopolis in the Christchurch CBD. It's free to play, and it starts at 7pm. You just need to visit meepalopolis.com/bookings to book yourself in. We recommend a team of 4 to 6 people. First place gets a $50 voucher, second place gets a $30 voucher, and third place gets a $20 voucher. It's going to be featuring questions from movies, TV shows, anime, video games, wrestling, comics, horror, toys, sci-fi, fantasy, and everything pop culture. And I know pretty much every pub quiz likes to promote themselves as, it's not your average pub quiz. And then it is your average pub quiz. It's just someone reading a bunch of questions off a piece of paper. But I'm pretty sure I've got a really unique format for my quiz. It's very visual, it's very discussion based, it's a lot of showing you some information and then you having to discuss with your team what the answer could be, recognizing quotes from movies, recognizing characters based on their silhouette. There's even a round where you have to guess who the character is based on their Tinder profile. It's going to be heaps of fun. I'd love to see you there. Just check out my Facebook page, Taylor Ruddle Comedy, for all the information. Alright, I've gone on for long enough. Let's get to the interview. Very fun interview. A lot of funny stuff. Stephen was in a really edgy mood this time, so it made for some hilarious content. And with that, here is Stephen Lyons talking about Fast X. Welcome back to the podcast, Stephen.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
You're very welcome. I've been looking forward to this quite a bit. I think since the last time we did the first 2 episodes, a whole bunch of new media for Fast X, trailers and behind the scenes and new posters and stuff have come out, so this is really the perfect time. I think it comes out on the 18th in New Zealand, so we're getting in just before the buzzer.
It probably must have come out around Christmas in the US.
Yeah, probably. Although I think we usually get them fairly early sometimes here. But anyway.
Yeah, sometimes we get them a day ahead. If it's an international release, normally we get it, the day before because of the dateline.
I do love that pedantry. I believe that's to be admired.
Yeah.
So Fast X, have you been keeping up with any of the media? Have you seen any of the trailers, etc.?
I mean, no, not really. Yes, I watched I've seen the trailer. Why am I lying? I've seen the trailer like 3 or 4 times, but I have no idea. It's like saying, how good was that burger you ate at McDonald's? I'm like, which one?
Do you know, I had the same revelation. I started watching the second trailer that had been released, and then I went, oh, I've seen this already. So yeah, it's, I suppose how much can you really remember from a Fast and the Furious trailer? They're all pretty action-packed and samey in a way.
I also get pretty broken by modern trailers because they'll have like a trailer for the trailer before the trailer.
God, that's awful.
They're like a couple of moments from the trailer, and then they're like, coming up, the trailer for Fast X.
Baywatch released a thing like that. they were like, we're just letting you know, we're releasing a trailer to let you know that the trailer's coming out tomorrow.
It's called a teaser. Let it be a teaser.
Yeah.
Do the teaser, then do the trailer. No, but the trailer is for the trailer. The teaser is for the movie.
Yeah, it's silly. What was I gonna say? Oh, I've lost it. It's right. Let's just move on to the...
I'm not fully kept up with it, although I will say, just to get it out of the way early on, I did spend the last week watching Fast 9.
And that was... do you know, I watched the end of that movie just before, as another... Because you mentioned you'd seen it, and I said to myself, which one's 9? So it's the one with John Cena, and I forgot that they had that magnet gimmick at the end of the number 9, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Magnet truck that has very, very strict and varying rules.
Yeah, it just depends on what they need from the scene as to what the magnet actually pulls, doesn't it?
How many people did they murder in that scene?
I felt so bad.
The quantity of human beings that will have been just yeah, I get it. They're already smashing cars through things. People are dying. But the amount of, people with, you imagine if you have, a limb, replacement, or you've got, you got, a pin in your hip, and then all of a sudden you're just having a cup of coffee, and the pin gets ripped out of... Are they not... They must be non-magnet by now, right?
I think so.
Is that a thing?
My father had a disc in his back that used to set off... metal detectors at the airport, but I think all the ones past then don't do that anymore, so yeah, maybe. But even still, it seemed like they could pick and choose what they wanted it to grab. There was a piece where they pulled down all the power lines into a bunch of police cars.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
seemed
come on.
really targeted for a general
Yeah, it feels like they wrote it for Magneto to be that character. They were like, we couldn't get the license for Magneto, so we'll just replace that character with Truck.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, Truck works.
Exactly.
Laurie? Oh, yeah, definitely Laurie. We'll go with Laurie. If any of the trucks were going to be there...
It's going
to be Laurie.
It also seemed like the density of the cars must have been like the amount of dark matter, because how are those tires gripping to the road? It seems to me more like,
I had to watch the scene where they kidnap John Cena. I had to watch it twice because I was so confused by how they thought it was going to work.
Yeah,
because they steal his car off the ground through a block of shops.
Yeah. That's right.
And then it kind of just fades to black, and then they're like, all right, now he's a captive at this bunker.
Because it whacks the car up against the side of the truck or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, my assumption is they went all in on one side of the magnets and not the other. I don't know.
That was... Those movies are just, like you said, you worded it as they're like superhero movies without superpowers. And that really helped a lot of the nonsense in these movies go down a lot easier from me.
Oh, it is. I will say, Fast 9, don't get me wrong, I had a great time. My only thing that I did wrong was, thinking I was going to watch it in one or two, steps. Because it is just so much going on.
Yeah. It's, one thing I like about the Fast movies, I don't know what point they started doing this, but you remember there was the chase scene in Edinburgh in 9, and then it looks like in 10 they're going to... Was it the Vatican City or something? So I think that's a cool, fun little recurring thing for them to do these crazy car chases in interesting European locations.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden, it really, because the first few, they didn't do this, but then they kind of but after Tokyo Drift, right, I think they really went, oh shit, we've got the formula. We know what the show is. And we're all wrong. I was wrong. Okay, because I led you astray. This isn't a superhero movie without powers. This is where in the world is Dom Toretto.
Right, yes.
This is all it is just going around. This one, Fast 9 especially, they end up going somewhere and they're like, remember when he said Mexico? Mexico? Mexico. Oh, a Mexican flag just where we're sitting because we coincidentally stopped here. Oh my, come on. That's some Carmen Sandiego bullshit.
It is. Well, I guess that's the successful elements to a modern Fast and Furious movie are
Tax breaks in a various range of
yeah,
countries.
maybe that's what it is. They're offering them, hey, Vatican City, we've had a lot of
Look, I want to drive an American muscle car through your town.
Exactly, yeah. The
but not you. You're getting the lorry. We're gonna fuck your town up real bad.
Yeah, we're gonna rip a bunch of cars off that are just parked in the CBD. We're gonna rip them out of their parking spaces.
My Fiat.
How mad would you be if you were just in a shop or something? You just heard commotion outside, and you just get back and your car is just like, in pieces on the other side of the road.
Yeah, and then you run down the road, and all you hear is the director go, "That's a wrap," and a bunch of people lift up Corona beer in the middle of your Bavarian town square and chant USA for 7 minutes.
Yeah, what was I going to say? The set pieces to a Fast and Furious movie though are exotic location, action movie stars / pro wrestlers as guest actors, and then something gimmick at the end, like the one where they were dragging the big vault behind them. Sending the car into space. The magnets, which I weirdly forgot completely about until I rewatched it the other day. So I was going to say, do you have any predictions about what the gimmick for Fast X is going to be?
Oh, man. Look, I'm always hopeful anytime this situation comes up, and it does, but I'm always hopeful for the return of railguns. All I'm saying is, hey, wouldn't it be crazy if we put a rocket on a car? Well, wouldn't it be crazy if you made a car into a railgun?
Well, it looks like they have done the rocket thing. I've watched all the trailers, and John Cena's character, Jacob, is driving
That's in 9.
Oh, does he do that in 9 as well?
Are they bringing the rockets back?
Well, he's driving some Mad Max-looking thing with rockets on the side of it in the trailer for 10. So, possibly, yes.
I would not be surprised if we were seeing some, some next... I wouldn't be upset if they did some, scale changing. Maybe they need to hook him with micro machines and do a thing where
that's
some
cool.
super villain,
like little remote control cars.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
I'd play that game.
Yeah.
Oh my god, release that video game.
Yeah,
Fast and the Furious Tiny.
Oh, just another gimmick. I just remembered. They had to have those cars that could go in reverse. They could switch. I don't know.
Oh,
the gearbox switched around or something.
So the problem is so much of it's like when the bridge goes out in Fast 9 and they fire and he uses the bridge to swing his car over, and you can be mad about it, but it's
he's Tarzan.
It's hard to come up with new shit.
Well, that's
so much stuff has been done.
That's the thing about these movies is at some point I suppose they're going to run out of tricks to do. From the trailer, by the look of it, this is weird because it seems like it's the climax of the movie, but they show a big bomb going off in Vatican City, and they also show shots of this big bomb rolling around the city, and they're playing what was that game called? There was a game on Steam, and you were basically playing soccer / football with cars.
Oh yeah.
Oh crikey!
It's not Turbo League. What's it called?
Yeah, something League. Turbo League. I'm just googling it now.
This is good for my brain because as long as you edit all of this out, because I actually play that game. It's Rocket League.
Rocket League. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave all that in because that's it's creative work.
My Rocket League community will be so mad at me.
Yeah,
look, Jonathan, I'm sorry. I forgot what Rocket League was, but I will see you on the pitch.
Yeah,
if that's what we call it,
exactly.
As soon as possible. But also, I don't play against other people. I don't have that level of confidence nor matchmaking patience.
No, I couldn't. I would be broken if somebody sent me a message after a game. Like I used to play Tekken online, and my worst fear was when you get that little message saying, so and so sent you a message, and it could be something.
Well, you say that, but I had a guy message me, and I ended up helping him out. I saved him out because he had a lot of money that was stuck in bonds, and so I was able to cover him over, and we've drifted apart now, but I'm sure he'll pay me back as soon as he gets the money.
Yeah, no one would have any reason to lie on the internet. I think you did a good thing there.
Yeah, Rocket League.
So I wonder if it's going to be like Rocket League, where they're
I'd
batting this
love it.
big metal ball around the Vatican City.
Yes.
So I wonder if they're going to have some gimmick relating to that, or if it's just going to be hitting. They might have a force field on the front of the car, because I think that's what Rocket League did. I can't really remember.
No, Rocket League, they just hit it. It's just a big ball.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah.
They're not bound by the rules of,
No.
cars braking.
No.
Although, to be honest, neither is Fast and Furious.
No,
So,
absolutely not.
they can all just have fun.
The other thing I saw in the trailer was, this is so Fast and Furious, is Dom his car jumps out of the way of two trucks colliding, and then he's driving down, I don't know, like Hoover Dam or some big dam, and his wheels are actually on fire, and he's driving faster than an explosion, like the flames of an explosion.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the bottom of the ramp is conveniently curved, so it's a bit like one of those. Did you ever play the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games where you'd be in a canyon and somehow all of the rocks in the canyon would be shaped in like a half pipe and all that
I assumed that Tony had people come in and do that.
That's true. He does have that kind of money, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, not when the first one of those came out.
No,
definitely now.
Yeah, no, for sure. That series is.
I do love that. Yeah, just every corner is smoothed out.
Yeah, and like it's just these big natural half pipes and grind rails in the middle of the Grand Canyon or something. So
I'm fine with that. I'm excited to I feel like
looking forward to it.
I don't quite know what the gimmick's going to be. Based on watching Fast 9 for the first time, I feel like the gimmick might just be love, and it'll
That's
just
true.
be them, hanging out.
Yeah. They seem to have gone for a plot device that they often use for Superman, for Dom, and that, Superman, you can't really defeat him in one-on-one combat, but you can take away the family that he loves, and that seems to be a theme of this movie, is that Dom's built this massive family over 10 movies now, and Dante, the bad guy, is going to take that away from him by presumably killing them.
Yeah, I feel like are the stakes really that high, guys? Like, let a few people die.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing with these kind of movies, is they all tend to want to come full circle by the last installment. And by the look of it, just based on the poster, which we will get to in a second, but from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks like the end of the movie is just a street race in like Rio de Janeiro, or is that the place with the big Jesus statue?
Yeah, sure.
It's in Brazil.
Christ the Redeemer?
Yeah. And so in these movies, they're going to have... It seems like what they're going for is just after all this mayhem, bombs, magnets shooting cars into space, it seems like the climax of the movie is just going to be a street race, drag race.
Oh, man, if they're at Rio de Janeiro, then I definitely, like with Christ the Redeemer, I want Dom and his brother to like put their crosses at the base of Christ the Redeemer,
yeah.
and then this is what happens: is they both like go into a Jesus pose, and then they start glowing, and then they float out of the scene, and that's the end of the series.
They ascend up to heaven.
That's it. Yeah, they ascend. Yeah.
They go to meet God, who's really God's family, I suppose.
It's
how nutty would that be if they actually did that for the end of the movie?
It's just Evel Knievel, but played by Morgan Freeman.
Ah, yeah, that's a new take on God, I suppose.
And they're like, and then all of the people will be there. Oh, actually, what am I talking about? It'd be Evel Knievel, but played by Paul Walker.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah, so to be his character as
somehow.
Evel Knievel.
Nice.
And they get there, and then everyone would be there, even the people they just left because, heaven has no time.
Well, that's the thing, is there's still going to be another movie after this, so the last movie could be them racing God in heaven.
Are they actually capping it? Are they going to be like, we're 11 and through?
Supposedly there's going to be like 10 and 10 too, so it's like a Final Fantasy 10 situation there. I don't know if they're going
By
to call
then they'll have another franchise set up, right? They'll have the like spin-off stuff going.
That was what we theorized was going to happen last time. Is they've said that they're going to end it at Fast. Like I'm going to guess they're going to call the next one Furious X. But surely there's going to be Fast and
You
Furious.
are giving
presents.
them too much credit. The next one will be called Furious X Part 1.
Yeah, that's true. They will definitely defy expectations of the title. But yeah, who knows?
I'm looking at it right now. I've got it in front of me.
The Fast X logo?
Yeah, the
what do you
first
think
one.
of it?
The glimmery stuff? Sure, it's fine. I love the X-Men movies from the early 2000s.
It looks like it's meant to be a light, like the same plastic on the light of a car. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they give us some cars with weird X lights. I'm into it.
I've noticed that they changed the Universal logo to be in the same style at the start of the trailers, which I always kind of like when they do that.
Yeah, it lets us know they had a little bit of extra money they didn't know what to do with.
Exactly. So should we crack into some of these? There's not a lot else to talk about the poster, really. The logo, sorry. I think it looks cool. It's definitely different. They've gotten away from the brushed steel that you liked so much in the last ones.
Oh, it'll come back.
Yeah.
It's still around the outside. Yeah,
they couldn't totally do away from the chrome or metal bits.
Yeah.
But I do like that they did something different. So the first poster in that folder was the one we talked about before with Dom with his rosary. Not a lot to there. That really seemed to me like a save the date kind of poster.
This is a teaser poster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know
Dom
when they released
looking
it.
Thoughtful in darkness.
Yeah.
With the cross hanging away from him, which doesn't seem as positive as you'd expect.
No.
Unless he's doing his rosary.
He could be. The brooding
the end of the road begins.
The brooding mood is back. I think we noticed this last time that they tend to go one of two moods with the posters. There's either brooding or there's like action-packed, badass kind of mood. I lost my train of thought there.
Grandiose. It's either like solo solemn or like family epic.
Yeah. But they did release another one, which is what made me want to record this podcast again, which is the one with all the characters in it. Have you got that one in front of you now?
Because there's a lot of posters in this folder.
There are a lot of posters. The last 10 of them are just individual characters, which I just chucked in there in case you wanted to see. But I think we're mainly going to talk about this poster here, which I guess is the official poster. Did you want to describe it, or shall I have a go at it?
Oh, is this we've got the X-Men cross.
Yeah, exactly.
There with Professor
Jesus
Xavier in the middle.
Yeah.
Then we've got what looks to be Aquaman in one corner.
Yep.
Peacemaker in the bottom left.
You've got is Jack Reacher? Yep, Jack Reacher's just below Peacemaker.
Oh my goodness.
You've got the Transporter.
Yeah.
You've got oh Christ, what was she called? Not Melisandre. Missandei from Game of Thrones.
Oh man, they're killing it. We got a lot of people
Star-studded
who
cast.
The studio decided are famous enough that you don't need to see their names.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like most of the cast, I would say, at this point. Like, come on, you know who they are.
It's kind of weird looking back when it used to be such a status symbol to have your name on a poster. And now it's like the ultimate power move to be like, no name. You know who I am.
You know who the face is, yeah.
The guy who was in that movie that you saw a couple of years ago. Not that one, the other one. Yeah.
You know the face, but not the name.
But they're all in a perfect cross section, like X.
I like it.
Around, our wonderful protagonist as he looms above Christ the Redeemer in what can only be described as false god praise.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, below the hilltops are four variously designed sports cars revving their engines and saying, "We've got horsepower."
Yeah.
And then at the bottom there's the logo because otherwise you wouldn't know what movie could feature.
Yeah, they don't even
Vin
need to put
Diesel.
the name on it.
Vin Diesel is so specific that if his face is on a poster, you assume it's Fast and the Furious.
You've got a 99% chance of guessing the movie, the franchise.
If Vin Diesel is on a poster, it is about Fast and Furious. There is no other option unless it's in a library and it's him encouraging you to read with no sense of irony.
I wonder what he's going to do after these movies finish. Like, do you think he's going to reboot Riddick?
Why does everyone have to do anything? I don't even know why he's doing the movies at the moment. He doesn't have to.
Well, I think
these are just for fun. This is just for fun. It has to be. I'm too much of an optimist to believe otherwise.
I feel like Vin Diesel this is sort of his baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you hear about how there was all that strife backstage with The Rock and him and Jason Statham all kind of having different creative inputs on it, it seems like he's really looking at it as like, this is my my opus, if you will. Yeah,
this is his. I mean, you can't, like, this is his brand. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm not saying he's responsible for it, but it is responsible for him, and therefore he gives a shit about what goes on.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, like, The Rock is The Rock.
Yeah,
you know, Jason Statham is Jason Statham, whereas Vin Diesel is Fast and Furious.
That's true. Yeah, they still have their own other. They have their own other projects,
and that's not better or worse.
No.
You know, would you rather be known as the transporter or the guy who has 10 movies all about him having a crazy family that likes driving vroom vroom?
It's definitely worked out for them, hasn't it?
Yeah. The crazy thing is that it's like the cast is, there's got to be a real, like, if you got all of the cast together and went, all right, we want to line up in order of who needs this.
What Dom is, like, he's right on the end with, I need this.
A bunch of them are like, oh my God, this is amazing, I get to do this thing. And then on the other end, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, I get to do this thing. Now I can, like, live comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, It must be cool to be one of the celebrities like John Cena who doesn't need it, but, like, gets to do it.
Oh man, him in Fast 9, it looked like he was having a ball.
It did, didn't it? Yeah, it looked like so much fun.
It was the same as, like, when he did Pacemaker for me. Is like, and I'm not saying, like, there are some meaty scenes in Pacemaker that he had to do.
Do you mean
the
Peacemaker?
Vast majority, Pacemaker.
Pacemaker. That's when he's in his 70s and he's still trying to go out in the ring. Pacemaker.
Give it up for Pacemaker.
Pacemaker. He's just walking around with
too fast. It's all too fast.
I love that. That's a t-shirt waiting to happen. There, it's just, you do that that TikTok filter where you make them old and then change the Peacemaker logo to Pacemaker.
Go from the top rope. It's the heart attack.
All of his enemies are just things like heart medication. I think Jason Momoa. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go.
I was going to say Jason Momoa also falls into that category of, like, doesn't really need the work and relishes in doing it. Like, there are some scenes where he's wearing a flowing white shirt and he looks like the main character of one of those old romance novels.
Oh yeah.
I don't really know what that style is called, and even if it happens, like, anymore.
Swashbuckler?
Yeah, that kind of Errol Flynn, the sort of thing you would find on your nan's bookshelf. You know, she hasn't read it recently, but she's had it for, 20 years or something.
Yeah. It was the before 50 Shades of Grey romance novels.
Yes, very true. When I was living over in Japan, someone at the share house had one of those books, and it's like every single line in it was an innuendo. Like, even I remember one walking into a cave, they said something like they penetrated the cave, and I was like, crikey, this really taking any shot that it can get at getting, like, some smut into all the sentences.
Yeah, they're like, you got to use the whole buffalo. Like, every sentence is a chance for a pun.
Use the whole buffalo. That's a fantastic term. I like that. I'm gonna endeavour to try and include that in my vernacular going forward.
This says he stood up. Could you say he erected himself?
Yeah, there you go. That's what you got.
Yeah, I guess we could.
You got to turn every sentence. You put the he unlocked his car. Turns into he inserted his key
Yeah.
into the willing keyhole. Or yeah, God knows. I'm gonna have to put the explicit warning on this podcast, or cut that segment. Might get a little bit too steamy for some of the listeners. Okay, back to Fast X. Jason Momoa just set us off into a frenzy there.
I know, yeah, it was, and it is. He's a gorgeous man. He's got a very piercing stare, and he seems like a great fit for the series because he's an action dude who likes doing stuff.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I saw he was announced for it, I thought, wait, he hasn't done it already?
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I guess he slipped through the cracks.
I wonder if are there any other actors you can think of who you're surprised haven't done a Fast and Furious movie?
I mean, I'd love to see more Paul Giamatti, but I understand.
Yeah? What kind of role would Giamatti be in the Fast X?
I think any role. You throw him in as a good or a bad guy, I think he would slay.
Was Giamatti... He was the bad guy in Big Fat Liar, wasn't he?
Good question.
I'm gonna just quickly Google that.
The guy from Sideways.
Because I think it was him, and he was incredible in that. Yes, it was him. He was Marty Wolf in Big Fat Liar, and he was so brilliant. He was so hateable in that movie.
Yeah, right?
So, absolutely. I'd love to see him in Fast X.
Oh, what I want is him, but I want him to be like a kingpin, but he drives like a really fucking amazing truck. You know, I feel like it's been a while since we've had just a truck-based kind of thing.
Like a Hilux or something like that.
No, like an 18-wheeler.
Oh, like a proper, like he's a trucker.
Yeah, like a long-haul trucker.
Nice.
You know, and maybe we'll get like the Japanese influence there, and his truck has like a shitload of LEDs on it.
Nice, yeah. They could hang that Subway handle from the back of it.
Yeah.
You're aware of that?
The Subway handle?
Yeah, so not Subway, the sandwich store. In case that's where it sounded like it's going, but there are these handholds. So you've lived in the States before. You know how in the Subway you have those rings that hang from bars at the top?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a thing in JDM culture where, as like a show of defiance, that people would steal those. They would cut them off the subways, and then they would hang them from the back of their cars as a little bit of a sort of sticking it to the man kind of thing.
Yeah.
The only thing is, eventually it became so commercialized that you can just buy them in the 100-yen store now, so not as impressive, I guess, if you just buy one.
Humans. We'll just make any act of defiance normalized and unexciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I do remember seeing that there was a, what do you call it? Like a bragging rights, I guess, like a show of status, I guess, that the more beat up the ring was, that showed how lowered your car was. I think all cultures have it. Like the Australians tend to, if you can fit a shoe in between the top of your, the wheel arch and the top of your wheel, that's like the perfect amount of lowering that they like.
How big a shoe?
I would have to assume probably a loafer, but I just like the way I like saying the word loafer.
So possibly a croc.
Yeah, why not?
I like saying the word croc.
I don't say why not. Yeah, loafers and crocs. They're both pretty, not super tall shoes.
You don't think anyone's like bringing some Doc Martens to the party?
I think if a Doc Marten was allowed, then my car would have street cred in Australia.
I like that, and then you'd have to ship it over there? That seems exhausting.
There you go, we're off the puns again.
Oh no, that wasn't on purpose.
Oh no,
don't start me on puns, I'm trying to be well behaved.
You can't fool me. I'll give you a break that time, but
no, we're not even going to do. Good work. What's the next poster? We got a bunch to...
Looks like it's the Korean poster, and it looks very similar to the American poster, except it shows way more of the action. And in place of what I assume is the climax of the movie with them racing in Brazil, it shows the scene with the bomb in the Vatican City.
Oh, so that's the bomb is the little
Yeah,
weird metal circle thing?
yes, the thing that looks like the robot from The Incredibles.
Man, are we just overdue a basic nuclear threat? Because I'm okay if that's where they're going. They're like, look, we've done a lot of convoluted shit. What if we just put a nuclear bomb in the middle of a city? That fucked shit up, right?
It did look like it was a nuke when it went off. So it's almost quaint compared to some of the plots we've had in the last movies, isn't it? Like, oh, you're just going to blow up a few blocks in a city. Like, the last villain was trying to infect the entire planet with a virus.
Yeah, what did that virus do? I never quite understood. I think I zoned out when they explained it.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think it was, generic. Everyone will get sick, and then maybe they sell the cure to make billions kind of
Alright,
plot.
cool.
I don't know.
I'm alright with that.
I'm with you. I can't remember. But I
So
think
this thing's we got a big old ball thing. We got, three cars from various eras, motorcycle and exploding Jeep. Nailed it.
yeah. I mean, I
No
do find that
notes.
quite interesting that the American poster, and Americans tend to be stereotypically like boomfire, Michael Bay explosions. They've got this cool atmospheric image, and then the Korean poster is the one that's like, look how exciting and bombastic this movie's going to be.
Because they don't need to. If you are in America right now, you know exactly how bombastic a Fast and Furious movie is going
That's
to
true.
be.
You don't have to
There is
sell them on.
no, like if you are over the age of born, you know exactly the level of insanity to expect.
Yes.
Like no one is seeing the American poster and being like, "Oh, I guess it's a calm, movie about a family building four cars to do synchronized racing."
That's true.
We know that everything that's pictured in the Korean poster will happen.
Yeah,
There will
that's
be
true.
cars, they will be skidding, some cars will blow up, some won't. A motorcycle will jump over something, going away from flames at some point. We get it.
The classic motorcycle shot.
Yeah.
I-
Vroom! Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess motorcycles do. Vroom!
The one thing I find interesting as well is they've got a Korean language version of Antique Olive Nord font. Like, it's the same style, but it's obviously in a different language.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if native Korean people see that and they go, oh, God, that font. Or if...
I would say that the typeface that they've used is more elegant than the English version.
It does look like it's all consistent, like the strokes look like they're all consistent
Yeah.
weights, which is cool.
I feel like they just found an italic bold font.
Yeah. I wonder what
And
the
we're
title is, because that looks like a whole lot more characters than Fast X.
Yeah, does it have a different name in different countries?
Well, we established last time we did this that they're called Wild Speed in Japan, so I have to imagine they all have their own title for it. I don't know if there's any Korean listeners out there, which, according to my my statistics, there are not. But if you speak Korean and you can read this, leave a comment and let us know what it says.
Yeah, what is it? What's going on over there?
I'm really curious to know, actually. And then the next couple of posters in the folder are interesting ones because it looks to me like that is the Chinese language posters. And they've also opted for a bold italic font.
See, this feels more Fast and Furious.
It does,
though.
doesn't
It's
it?
like,
Yeah.
It's like squeezed in, like
Yeah, it's
a little bit too chunky for its own good.
got a really heavy outline on the text. I do like the actual arrangements of the characters, though, because there's two posters and they both have, like, the teams, Dom's family and then, I suppose, Dante's family. Although Jason Statham's on that poster, so maybe he turns on them again? That's interesting.
Wait, were they friends?
Well, he was a bad guy in one of the movies, but then in all of the trailers it looks like he teams up with them again. So I don't know, maybe he starts bad and does like a face turn? Although Jacob is in the background of that one as well, so maybe it's not their teams, maybe it's just you know, we had to fit some of the characters on this poster and some of the characters on the other poster.
I mean, that is very much what it feels like looking at. It's just like, it's like, hey, we faked these posters. Does this look okay?
I think
like, look at
Dom's...
okay. If you're on the Dom one, if you look at the characters on the far left, he's lit from the wrong side.
Yeah, you're right.
You're killing me, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This is the thing where, like, I love Fast and Furious, but it both knows what it wants to be doing and is too lazy to do it. Like, it just, like, you are a billion-dollar franchise, and you're telling me that you can't just go, oops, where does light come from?
I guess, maybe they took all of these photos at a separate point, and then they just handed them to the designer and said, can you make something cool with this?
Oh, 100%. These are all just, they would have lined up, come in one at a time, probably not even on the same day. They just run all of the promo photos. But it's heartbreaking because it's kind of that thing where, like, none of these feel like planned posters. Except the first one we had of Dom with his cross. That feels like a poster that they actually planned.
Right.
The rest of these feel like an assemblance of assets.
Yeah, they just collected a bunch of assets and then said, let's see what we can do. Because that Fast X one with the X in the background is definitely... They were all taken in different... they obviously didn't line people up like that.
Yeah, they didn't go, oh, this is the plan, let's take photos for the plan. They went, hey, I've got photos and I think it would be funny if we put them on an X.
Yeah.
I think my issue is that it just feels like there's no wrong answers. Like, anything that they pitched, they went, yeah, make that as well.
Yeah.
And the designers, rather than going, hey, why don't we make one really good, went, fine, we'll just do whatever.
That's one thing that I think you might have actually just reminded me of a bigger topic, is the idea that movie posters aren't really... I don't know how to articulate what you just said. Like you said, they're just a collection of assets put together in a kind of appealing way. But you think about things like, I did a podcast about the Indiana Jones poster, and that was like clearly planned really deliberately. And if you think about the ones that really stick in your mind, like the Scarface poster, or maybe The Godfather, or I'm trying to think of the most...
Well, that was back when we used to plan.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Is you don't see it a lot. Like, I can't think of a movie poster that I've seen within the last 10 years that has been really...
The tragic part of it is that it's not a sign of creative boom, it's a sign of capitalist boom.
Yeah, it's just trying to get it done as quick as possible. And
because it's not like they're going, oh, what are the best ways to represent this movie? What are the best ways to capture it? They're going, what are the broadest ways to capture it? How can we capture the most people and get the most, do you need 4 or 5 versions of a poster? And the answer is no. But why would you not do it when time and labor is so cheap at the moment?
Yeah,
for them, they're just like, yeah, we could just pump out. I want one for each character. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that is a real shame. I wonder if this could be a future episode for me to look into, is to look at some from the last few years. The sad thing is, there are a few that I can think of that really struck me, but then the movie was awful. Like, I watched one called Escape the Field, which was had this really cool artsy white space design, and then the poster really grabbed me, and then the movie was it was okay, but the ending was terrible. And
which some people would argue makes the movie not okay.
Yeah, I guess, and I think me telling people that the ending was terrible in its own way is a spoiler. I say I didn't enjoy the ending. But I guess this comes back to the idea that you said that the Fast and the Furious movies aren't hindered by how artsy and cool they can make a poster, because people are going to come and see it regardless.
Wait, I didn't say that. I think that I'm just saying...
I might be misquoting you there. What I mean is, we were talking about...
I don't think everyone's just going to come and see Fast and the Furious.
True, yeah. The people that like it are going to come and see it.
But it is like getting... the thing is that it's... Yeah, no one's relying on a Fast and Furious poster...
No.
To like sell them on a movie. But everyone is going to be inspired by it.
Yeah.
Like, if they create a poster that makes you happy, then, and it is kind of like, that does seem to be the majority of what they do, is just going like, oh, well, what about this? What about this? And then you end up with that long tail marketing where they can get as many people, you know, who are just like, yeah, I want to see an explosion. Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's also
yeah.
when you got a franchise this big, right? It's like people want to find out, like, oh, did you see this? Oh, is there a clue in there about what the movie's going to be about?
Yeah, I think that's what I thought was cool about looking at these posters. Like, before I went and watched the trailers, I saw the big ball thing in the background, and I was like, what's going on there? I wonder if that's a spoiler for the movie, but it features very heavily in the posters. I guess it's like when you're a big-name comedian as well, like you and I are both comedians and poster designers, so I guess, you know, when you have a name attached to it, like, we use John Mulaney, because that's the one that's in my head most recently.
Problematic.
Yeah, his last tour poster was literally just a photo of him as a kid, and then the words "from scratch." And because, you know, people know the name John Mulaney, I guess it's a bit like the Fast and Furious. You're either gonna come out and see it, or, you know, no poster is gonna convince you to. But I'm not quite sure about you, but I'm definitely at the stage where my poster has to be as good as it possibly can be to get people to come out and see it, because I'm very unknown. You've got your, I guess this is probably going to come out in about a week and a half. I might actually put this out midweek after we record this, so a couple of days before the movie drops. Will you have finished your run of fest shows by then?
My Comedy Fest show is in Auckland from May 17th to the 20th. At 9:30 p.m. at Q Theatre Cellar.
There you go. So I will endeavour to get this up on maybe the 16th. So people in Auckland, I know I have a few listeners in Auckland, definitely go out and see Steve and Josiah's show. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Josiah and Stephen Joyous Comedy Hour for your smile faces.
How did you come up with that title?
That is I wrote a whole bunch of titles that made me happy, and then I pitched a few of them to Josiah, and then I was like, hey, is it okay if we go with Joyous Comedy Hour for your smile faces? Because I wanted a show title that I could create a fun poster for,
You
and
definitely
then
have done that.
reuse. Yeah, so that I was able to, like,
so
if I want to go and do a lineup show somewhere, then I can use that as the branding.
Very cunning.
Yeah. And something that was just bright and colourful and silly.
No, definitely. I will be showing that on the screen now to all the video watchers on YouTube. I think that might be quite a nice little bow to wrap up the show in. We've wetted on for quite a bit about the Fast and Furious franchise. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or shall we kind of end it there?
Oh man, like I would love to see, I'd love to see, you know, I'm sure someone has done, you know, like a Mondo print of the Fast and Furious franchise, but it is kind of, these posters are pretty generic, and I think that they have the background to both celebrate that or to make a choice and, you know, go, hey, what if we actually, like, you know, put the money in and found out, like, what would one poster look like that would unify us? But also, that's not good for marketing. That's just me being, you know, artsy.
Yeah, I think the Star Wars movies were a little bit the same in that now that, well, I guess Star Wars is never going to be finished, but now that there are several complete trilogies, you've seen people designing like 9 posters that are all of one style, like minimalist, or you know, I've seen ones done like 70s pulp magazine covers, that kind of vibe. So I wonder, now that the series is allegedly wrapping up, are we going to see some like box sets or posters that are all released consistently, or are people going to make
or even for like the future of it, when they do spin-offs, like a spin-off you know, tangent is a great time to go, what would happen if they consolidated the look and feel of Fast and Furious?
Exactly.
And they're so close. It's like so close to having a singular voice, but that voice keeps having to be current. and seems to be like constantly about quantity over quality of execution or like what they're creating. And it'd just be so cool if they did do a spin-off to go, let's choose a brand, like a visual look for it.
Yeah.
The same way they did for the logo, and they kept true in the logo.
They've done a great job of keeping the logo consistent, haven't they?
Yeah, and people can easily and validly argue there is a visual style to all of these posters that is unique to them. But my thing would be, I'd agree, but it feels like most of the posters from this time and from last time were just so close, but they just didn't have that final, like, that final review or that, and it's not final, it might be like, if we take the X in this, for example, of just going, before you shoot it, like, what are we doing here? What's the goal here?
Yes. I'm very familiar with having to work without a theme in mind, which is really frustrating, isn't it? I think I'd be really curious to see how long the designers were given to come up with the posters. It feels like, just based on what we've discussed, that they were probably given, a week or something like that. They were just handed a bunch of assets and said, can you, put something together? Because they do feel very last minute.
But we say that it looks like that, and I agree with you, but it can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be.
You would like to wish that it wasn't.
Like,
excuse me.
These are $100 million movies.
Yeah.
We can't be. It's got, like, you had to get all of these wonderful actors in to do these photo shoots.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, like, none of the poster is just that last, like, thought now.
Yeah, it is really sad, but I suppose, like you say, it's the capitalismo. Time is money, so just get us something that works. It's almost like they are shooting for, like, yep, that'll do, rather than like, man, that's going to blow people's mind.
Which, in their defense, is kind of, that's what it is. That's what these but it's this weird thing of like, oh yeah, that'll do, plus how can we blow your brains away with this stuff?
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, how do you come up with like magnets driving through a city, but also you can't edit someone picking up a postcard correctly?
They used all of their creative juices on the actual film itself, not the promo around it, I guess.
I don't even think that's true. I think this is the whole thing. I think it's just they're so selective with what they care about.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the editing is not, like, editing on Fast 9 was doing my head in. You know,
really?
The shooting in it was like, I mean, they have this gorgeous, amazing shot where they're like, it's a drone shot, and then it transitions to this cool pan up as one of the cars pulls in and parks directly centered in front of this, like, symmetrical wide shot, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. And
then the car pulls just a bit too far forward.
Right.
And that's in the movie.
Yeah.
like just stop the car in the right place.
Yeah. So do you think that's indicative of their attitude towards everything when it comes to creating the film, that it's like, it's not, not quite perfect, but like, that'll do, like, that's good enough?
I think that they know that enough of it will be amazing and mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That they're like, we cannot sweat the small stuff. And I think that it's a bummer. Like, if that car had parked perfectly centered, then I would have gone, ooh.
Yeah.
But I think they also know that they're going to have like a 3-minute amazing fight sequence later on, and that will make me go, ooh. And then hopefully I'll forget about the car not being centered, or the vast majority of people are healthy-brained people who didn't notice the car wasn't centered to start with. Who just thought, hey, that's a fun shot. They're pulling up to a house.
This is reminding me of, I recently watched Gene Kelly's Singing in the Rain, and I'm a big fan of like Jackie Chan movies, and they're both, reportedly perfectionists, and a lot of their stuff is aged very well. Like, people still look at it as like, damn, that's incredible, still, 30, 40 years later. I wonder what's going to happen with the Fast and the Furious movies because of that attitude of kind of being wowing us with some big stuff, but they're not flawless. Do you think people are going to be still watching them in another 10 years, 20 years?
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like, I can bitch and moan as someone who's not having to do any of these things or making any of these choices. But it is also, this is modern movie making, and possibly these things are built to be more ephemeral than they used to be. When they made Singing in the Rain, they were like, can you believe we're making this? This is incredible, let's get it done. And now we're like, we make a lot of movies.
Yeah, there is a certain assembly line quality to things like Marvel movies, and that it feels like they're just churning them out as many as they can, kind of playing with house money until it runs out, right?
Well, we've reached a point where we've been this way for quite a while now, where we trust a director.
Yeah.
We go, oh, will this director give a fuck? Think about all the people who were like, oh my god, this person, oh yeah, Stanley Kubrick was exhausting to deal with because he wanted everything to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be,
yeah. But
that's not to take away from the joy of a movie like, for me, Fast 9, it was hard because there were so many of those moments where I'm like, just a little bit more would have made this incredible. But equally, so much fun in there. There's so much crazy shit. Hey, we gotta drive faster so we can get over all these landmines. Does that work? It does now. Let's do it.
I think that's a pretty good way to cap it off, to be honest. I can't really add anything onto that. Should we end the podcast there? We're coming up on about 55 minutes now. So
perfect. There we go. And we finish with the jingle. It's a poster. It's a poster. And now we're done. Posters.
I think I'm going to appropriate that over the actual jingle because that was magnificent. I have actually changed the name of the podcast since you were last on it. It is now called Ruddle Me This.
Oh, I love that. Oh, and then the posters are within Ruddle Me This.
Yes, exactly. So I'm doing, this will be a good chance to get the plugs in there, actually. I am doing, amongst normal interviews with comedians and other interesting people from within the arts, I am also doing paranormal episodes. So if you have a ghost story or a cryptid or a UFO that you want to talk about on a future episode, definitely let me know about that.
I saw a UFO when I was a kid. And I saw a ghost. I lived in a factory, and there was a ghost that I saw one time as an adult.
You lived in a factory?
I lived in a factory. It had been converted to apartments, so I did leave out some key information there.
Oh, that's all semantics. That doesn't matter. Never let.
But it was definitely I guarantee you, this is the ghost of someone who died in that factory. Yes. They didn't haunt me, but I was just like, hey, that was a thing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get me on now because I've just told you the entire story. Damn it, Stephen. Why do you keep robbing yourself of these opportunities?
Well, that's that handled nice. We've wrapped that up in a nice bow. I guess we'll just cap it there. I'll get all of your plugs and stuff in like a little post interview segment, so don't worry about that. All your links will be in the show notes. I'll chuck a link to your show as well, in case anybody wants to get in on some last-minute tickets. But yeah, anything else you'd like to add, or should we just wrap it up there?
No, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure.
I'm sure I'll have positive things to say about one of the posters sometime.
No, that's, what?
I'm not normally this grumpy. It's a lie I tell myself.
People don't turn on the news to hear good things. What are you talking about?
Thank you so much for having me on again.
Thanks for being
a delight.
Appreciate it. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I had heaps of fun talking to Stephen. Make sure you get along, check out his Comedy Fest show. I imagine it's going to be an absolute great time. You can follow Stephen online at facebook.com, Stephen Lyons Comedy. He is Steve Lyons on Twitter and Instagram. As for myself, as always, I am on all the social media platforms except for Twitter at Taylor Ruddle Comedy. And of course, I got my comedy special, All My COVID Jokes, which is now live for free on YouTube. You can watch it by visiting taylorruddle.com/spesh or just searching into YouTube for Taylor Ruddle All My COVID Jokes. Tiny quick life update. I'm into about week 2 or 3 of my unemployment, but we'll call it being a full-time creative for legal purposes. My hands are starting to feel better. I'm definitely being able to stay off the PC way more than I was when I was at my day job, so my hands don't have this constant ache. They're still not 100%. It's going to take probably a few months before I'm completely pain-free again, but I'm going to be getting into the gym really hard next week, trying to get in there every morning and sort of treat that like a job, and then I think I should start to see some really good improvements with pain levels and everything like that. I've been super busy booking gigs in. I guess it all just kind of happened at once. The second I quit my day job, the floodgates opened. Heaps of opportunities that people have been contacting us to run shows around basically Canterbury at this point. We've got heaps of cool stuff coming up. Some of it is only penciled in and it hasn't been announced yet, so definitely if you want to see some stand-up comedy around Canterbury, and even in the CBD, just between you and I, make sure you follow our Facebook page, Can Do Comedy. That's facebook.com/CanDoComedy. You can also follow us on Instagram. I think that's Can Do Comedy NZ. Unfortunately, couldn't get the same handle on both. A thorn in my side. But yeah, follow us on Can Do Comedy. That's where all of our events go live. You can buy tickets, you can find out where to book, and we've just got heaps of fun stuff coming up that I would love to see you at. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Look after yourselves and keep on rambling. Ruddler out.
Posters. It's a poster podcast. Within Riddle Me This. You're listening to Did You Mean Riddle Me This?